Hi, this is Dan Gilvizan, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Jazz here, and I am so digging the Geekcast Radio Network.
Cliff Jumper, commence countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, Toycast. Oh, yes. Listen in to the only toy podcast you will ever need.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is TFG and Mike, and I am so sorry to everyone, the listeners, but especially to Josh and especially to Michael Tomaso from Times Past Collectibles, that this episode is so very, very late. This was episode 114 of Toycast. This was recorded back in summertime, I believe. I don't remember. And if you hear any sound effects in the background on my end right now, we are having a huge windstorm here in the state of Washington. So that's what's going on there if you hear anything. However, Josh, Mr. Floorburger, Mr. Floodburger, Mr. Insert F Burger here kind of person, was working with Michael at his shop, Times Past Collectibles, and they had a conversation. So I hope everyone enjoys this. There's been a lot that has happened to me since they recorded this, and I will talk about that in the closing. But for now, enjoy this conversation between Josh and owner of Times Past Collectibles, Michael Tomaso, right now.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mike. Yeah, hey, we are here live at Times Past Collectibles with shop owner Michael Tomaso. Thank you very much, Michael, for having us in here. I had a great time spending the day with all these fantastic toys. How you doing?
I'm awesome. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. So we're going to do kind of an abbreviated Origins interview here. That's sort of trademark of Toycast Toy Radio. And, we're going to go through a couple things about you and your background and your shop. So one of the first questions I just have to ask, do you remember the first toy you remember having as a kid? Do you remember that? Putting you right on the spot to start off with here.
Yes, I do. I got a Sears G.I. Joe Vamp, the vehicle, for Christmas, and I went crazy because it was my first time, probably 82, 83, when I actually was able to play with G.I. Joe. It's my favorite. I still have it.
So that probably set off a lot of stuff I still see here in your store. You have some fantastic examples of G.I. Joe that looks like they are fresh off of the pegs in 1991. Some of them right from the 80s. What were some of your favorite types of toys to play with? I think this is going to be pretty obvious at this point.
Well, my first love was always Star Wars, but then after Star Wars fizzled out in 83, then I got hooked on G.I. Joe, and I've been a G.I. Joe guy ever since. I love their toys. They're just awesome, brings back good memories and lots of good G.I. Joe battles at my house and my buddies, and also at my cousin's house.
So in all those battles, did you ever have anything that stood out to you, any toys that stood out to you more than others? Even now you have a store filled with phenomenal toys. Is there anything that you're like, wow, that was particularly awesome?
What is it, 1985? For Christmas, Santa Claus brought me a terror drone, and I played with that thing for weeks on end. And I still have it, and I still got the original box, which I found up from my mom and dad's attic, which is cool because the box is pretty nice and dead mint. And the terror drone's a little torn up, but I got parts to fix it. Just haven't had time.
So, obviously enjoying G.I. Joe's, Cobra, Star Wars, you have different sides. Did you prefer good guys or bad guys?
Always the bad guys. I always loved Cobra. I thought the soldiers were pretty cool and badass in my opinion. And they had the coolest weapons and vehicles and all the like really cool stuff. I like about it.
So you just mentioned the Terradrome. Is that still your all-time favorite vehicle or playset, or do you have something else that you would say is your all-time favorite?
I would definitely say the Terradrome. I still have it in my basement and stuff, and it'll be with me till I die. I love G.I. Joe. What can I say? It's pretty cool stuff, well made, and now it's 40 plus years old. So.
Well, so you deal toys from all different eras. I'm looking around the store. I see stuff as early as the 70s, maybe a little bit earlier than that, depending on where I look. And I see stuff as recent as just released in the last month or so.
Ooh. Technical difficulties. Let's move on, shall we?
You have toys from all different eras, from as early as the 70s, maybe earlier, to stuff that was released very recently. What do you feel makes a good toy? Because you're kind of seeing everything of the greatest toys that have ever been made in the last 30, 40 years.
Their articulation, if they can move their hands, their weapons, their arms, their legs, you can pose them and stuff like that. That's why I think I like G.I. Joe more, because you could pose them in like all these different poses, and they could lay on their stomachs and shoot the good guys or the bad guys, or you could put them in vehicles and sit them in there and stuff like that. So.
Well, you have, again, a lot of stuff we're looking at here. In front of me, I see some of the newer Turtle stuff in the package, and then right around the corner, you've got a ton of loose Turtle stuff. But for you, do you prefer leaving things in the package, or do you like opening them up more?
I'm kind of weird. People know me very well. I like to buy two of everything, so I have two of everything. And then either I find stuff loose, I'll keep that, or I'm like weird. If it's in the package, I won't open it. I don't know why, but I like to have stuff in the package and loose too. I love loose. I think it's pretty cool too as well. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I really like to have two of each thing, and then if I find one at a toy show or a toy shop or something, I definitely keep it. So.
I think definitely, as you're probably starting to learn as somebody who has a part-time job of hunting down collections and hunting down things to buy, we have some limited commodities around us. There's only so many packaged Han Solos with the trench coat. There's only so many of those left in the world, and we're all hunting them down. So, it's interesting to find out like who still wants to open that up, or who has opened them up in the past. Let's go to the next question. This I might be able to guess. As a kid, if you're only allowed to choose one toy franchise to collect from the entire rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Oh, there's only one answer, G.I. Joe.
Yeah. All right. I was going to say G.I. Joe, close second probably being Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah. So as an adult collector and dealer and seller, looking back at the last 30 to 40 years, do you prefer vintage toys or modern toys?
I like the vintage because I grew up with it. I know the figures, I know the parts and pieces and stuff like that. But on the other side, I just got into liking Black Series and stuff like that, and I also like the G.I. Joe Classifieds. I think the G.I. Joe Classifieds and Black Series are pretty awesome. I think they're very well sculpted. You can move their arms and legs, their head. You can accessorize, especially the G.I. Joe Classifieds. I don't know. To me, they haven't really knocked it out of the ballpark with both the Black Series and also Classified. So I'm 50-50. I do like my vintage, don't get me wrong. It's like a little kid when I find nice Joe Lots or Star Wars, but the Classified and Black Series are pretty cool.
It's sort of the best manifestation of those particular toys. It's like everything you ever wanted in a G.I. Joe, you get it. Everything you ever wanted in a Han Solo, you get it. But there's still something very charming even about the old 5 points of articulation Han Solo, I think. So you buy toy lines all the time. You buy all sorts of stuff all the time. Even though there are always toy lines that people never purchase, are there any that you specifically and purposely avoid, either as a collector or a buyer or seller? Is there anything that you're just like, no, I will not touch that no matter what?
Beanie Babies. I get probably 5 calls a week to ask to buy Beanie Babies too.
Well, people aren't going to be able to put their kids through college with Beanie Babies anymore?
The lady that called me last night, she was pretty upset when I told her. she should donate them to a children's hospital. She hung up on me.
Oh, that's actually not a bad idea, though. That's that.
I'll give it to some kid who will appreciate it.
Yeah.
In a world, there, I said it, happy.
You've bought and sold a lot of things. Is there anything that you wish that you got that you wish you had not purchased, whether as a collector or as a seller? Anything that you're just regretting ever having purchased?
No, because I bought my childhood back. And the stuff now that, I have a full-time job, I work very hard, at the shop and stuff like that. I've been kind of like toy hoarding a lot of the G.I. Joe stuff. I've been fighting, I know this sounds crazy, but I have like 5 USS flags. So,
doesn't sound crazy at all these days.
No, I don't know. I never had it as a kid. I didn't know it existed like 20, 30 years ago until I saw it on a TV show. I'm like, I never saw that. There's a place at the stores, like Toys R Us, Resale, Venture, all the places my parents went to and bought toys, Toys R Us too. I never saw them until now. And now, for some reason, they just keep coming up and I keep finding them.
So, you have a lot of inventory, both in the shop, a lot of inventory that you have in storage, but your own personal collection, how large or small is that collection? Does it take up a whole house? Is it one room, a shelf? Where are you at? What would you say if you
I have a whole bedroom that me and my buddy is helping me work on. I got all my Joes, all my flags in the room. I'm a big fan of Kenner Mask. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yep.
I'm a huge mask guy. I could never afford it because when you went to the store, I remember they were between $15 and $20. And when you got $10 every other week for allowance and stuff like that back in the early 80s, you could only buy a couple figures or a couple of this. You would have to save up to go buy like the mask or Transformers, stuff like that. But my room is pretty basic right now. Eventually, when I get some extra cash, I'm going to buy a display case and then stuff that my mother and my grandmother and my grandpa gave me. I'm going to put it in the case, just separate. I have almost all the G.I. Joe loose figures that I bought like about 10, 12 years ago. So I'm going to put all that like separate, like the stuff that from my childhood and then all the stuff that I love and care for and stuff.
So when it comes to when you finally can display all of those toys, do you think you're going to display it with the possibility of other people to view it, or is it just going to be for your own personal preferences?
For everybody. I think people that collect toys, they love to show off their collection. I mean, I think I have a pretty decent collection. It's not like some of these rich guys that I see drop like $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 at shows and stuff like that. It's moderate, you know what I mean? It's like what I can afford and what I got, and I'm very happy. I got some, as a Joe guy, and you guys should know this, like I was able to get a Snake Eyes, a Storm Shadow, and I just recently I spent a lot of money on them, Firefly, because as a kid I got it at Sears, and I played it at my cousin or left it at his house or whatever, and it disappeared at the time, and then finally one of the guys on the Joe pages had it, and I bought it, and it was the best decision I ever made, and now I have it in my personal collection and stuff like that. But it's sometimes you are able to find it hidden diamond in the rough, I guess you could say, and put in your collection. So
this is always an obligatory question on the Toycast podcast because we've got our producer, our director, our Wizard of Oz, Mike Blanchard, who loves Funko Pops. Are you a Funko Pop fan? I love the delayed response on this.
Here's a dilemma. I know they're really popular and they're really good and stuff like that, and I understand my business partner refuses to have them in the shop. I'm kind of like, we should have them in the shop because everybody, like 1 out of 10 people always ask for them, and I feel bad because they come here disappointed when they come to the shop and we don't have them. I mean, I like to get them, but I got to do more research. Like stuff like the vintage stuff, I know, and some of the newer stuff that comes out. But the Funko Pops, I mean, every week there's like 10, 20, 30, 50 different Funko Pops. I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying to get into it, but there's just so much out there. I can't.
Yeah, no,
I can't grasp it.
I hear you.
Well, I am shocked and dismayed. Well, now you can't be both. You be shocked, I'll be dismayed.
So this is maybe a tough question, that because you drop money to buy collections every so often. Are you willing to say how much the most you ever spent on a single toy? Maybe not a whole collection, but the most you ever spent on a single toy.
I bought 20 of my favorite G.I. Joe Carter figures about 5 years ago. I was able to, a toy shop in Chicago had a gentleman who walked into the shop and had the whole entire G.I. Joe collection from 82 to the mid-90s, I guess, 92, 93, 94, I guess, that era. And if my wife ever found out, she'd probably kill me. I went into my savings account and I dropped $6,000.
Wow.
As a collector, you know when you see something, and I'm weird. Like, if I don't see it ever in my whole entire life and they're dead mint on the card, like, you'll never find it unless you get it graded or you find that collection down the Merry Way. I had to have them. I mean, I got Major Blood, Baroness, Destro, Tracker, or Stalker. I mean, I got so many Carter figures. I mean, if my wife actually found out, she would probably beat me up and kill me.
But we will make sure she never listens to this.
I hope not. But I was very happy. It's like one of those childhood dreams, you know. Now you save some money up and you find that those items that you didn't have as a child, and you're like, damn, I want that, I need that. And that's why I'm like, give me a day or two, and I was able to come up with a coin and go over there and buy them cash. So
that's great. You know, and then on the flip side of that, what was the cheapest toy you ever bought but may have held the most value? This, especially because you've bought lots of stuff where if you break it down by...
I would say the Kenner mask, I was able a couple of years ago, some guy had on Craigslist a whole, like, 10 or 12 of them boxed, and I bought them all. I went crazy because, I don't know, I'm weird. Stuff that I didn't have as a kid, like now I'm being able to come back and find toys that I love and I didn't have and play with still, I guess you could say, and collect them still.
So what's, if you were to say you are currently collecting anything right now, what is a line that you're still currently collecting, or a line or two that, or three lines, plural, that you're collecting?
Star Wars, G.I. Joe, some He-Man stuff, Transformers. My buddy got me hooked on, what do you call it? You know, I always loved Transformers, but they were always so expensive, and you know, I passed on 2 lots, which I should never did, but I did. Now I kicked myself in the butt, but now I'm trying, like, I have almost a whole entire loose collection of Transformers that I decided to keep for myself, and that I also have, I've been buying a lot of box ones too.
So, working the shop today, I was here 6-7 hours, and I think about, let's say, conservatively about 25 people, 30 people came through, and only about 3 or 4 kids. Mostly people around our age, late 30s, early 40s. A few younger folk, because there was a K-pop event just down the street that drew a pretty large crowd, and a few of them trickled by. But what do you think makes, or what do you think it is about our generation now that causes our childhood toys to mean so much more to us as these late 30s, early 40s adults than even like our parents' generation?
Me personally, I don't know. There's a lot of toys. Like, I was like early 80s child, so like I still love Star Wars and stuff like that. And then when I started collecting about hardcore probably about 15 years ago, I decided, like, I couldn't believe that some of the stuff, I'm like, I didn't know that existed, kind of. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When you started collecting, because there wasn't the internet and eBay and I mean, there was eBay, but like I didn't know much about toys. But then once I graduated college in 2000, I started noticing like once in a while you go to a garage sale or estate sale or something like that, and you found that toy. Like, man, I did. How much is it? $20? Yeah, no problem. I'll buy it. And then now it's just like, now I'm trying to find my childhood back and get the best and brightest, I guess, toys for myself, I guess.
Well, on the subject of motivation of buying toys, let's talk about the toy resale industry, which is a huge chunk of your life currently. When and how did you get into buying and selling toys?
Well, see, what happened was in 2012, there was or 2010, that Jordan Hembrough TV show called Toy Hunter.
Yeah.
And me and my wife, I'm like, I get home from work and I had it on the DVR, and then I would start watching. I'm like, oh my God, I remember having that. Oh, my cousin, my buddy had this. And I'm like, how cool is that? I'm like, I can't believe. I thought like most people just threw out their toys and stuff like that. But then I started getting hardcore into collecting, and then one of my buddies told me about estate sales. I mean, I always went to garage sales and Craigslist, but then like I got kind of like hooked on a bug, man. It was like plastic crack or crack rock, I guess, and I was able to find my childhood, like Joe, Star Wars, He-Man, Transformers. I couldn't believe the stuff that's out there, especially going to estate sales and finding all these huge lots that these parents got their kids. And, you go to some of these people that were rich and you find like, oh my God, dude, they had two of everything,
Yeah. So what's one thing you enjoy about buying and selling?
It's happiness. I think people who grew up in, like, I'm 44 years old. My thing is, it brings happiness. It brings that what is it? Isn't that dopamine?
Endorphins.
Endorphins.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, like, this is awesome. For me, it's the hunt. I love hunting for toys. I do it all the time when I'm sleeping, whatever. I'm here. It's fun for me. There's something about happiness, like, especially when you find a good lot and you're like, damn, this was an awesome figure, or that's an awesome vehicle. I'm going to clean it, fix it up, put the parts and pieces in it and stuff like that. So that's what I really like to do.
I know there's always difficulties, especially running a shop and finding stuff. What's probably, would you say, is the most difficult part of buying and selling right now?
Competition, that's for sure. I can't keep up with some of these guys. The competition in Chicago is horrendous. Like, you're going up against, when me and Eric started this about a year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half ago, maybe there was a handful of toy shops, maybe 5 or 6 in the Chicagoland area. Well, now, I mean, they're opening toy shops like, selling Funko Pops and Marvel Legends and all this other stuff. And then you're trying to compete against them. Eric and me, our mindset is definitely going into keeping it more vintage. But as time goes on and progresses, you got to get the younger generation of kids, like the Marvel Legends and the Funko Pops and some of the other stuff. That's why I've been trying to get some of the newer stuff for everybody, and DC Legends too.
What is something that realistically you wish you could change about the toy resale industry? I know that's a tough question. Like, if there's one thing you could realistically change.
I just think it's there's a lot of people out there that they badmouth everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I am the kind of person, kind-hearted, where if Joe Schmo got a huge Star Wars collection, I'm so happy for them and stuff like that. In the toy business, as people know, they talk smack about everybody and everything, and you sell garbage and all this other stuff. It gets kind of out of hand. You know what I mean? There's a couple people right now that, like, they talk a lot of smack about everybody and stuff like that. And, it's entrepreneurship, and I understand that, and I wish everybody good luck, but it's just, a lot of people it's like they're jealous of that person. You know, you open a shop, you know, you got some cool stuff in your shop, but that shop doesn't. So what does he do? He badmouths you and goes back and forth.
Well, and I think that's something that a lot of people complain about right now in toy collecting and toy selling and toy buying is that massive amount of negativity. And that's something that we've commented on a lot with other people who've done these interviews, where the biggest thing they say is just so negative.
Oh, it's horrible.
And I don't know the right solution to it other than you find your pocket of positivity and you stick there. But back to the actual functional part. So historically, you've done a lot of toy shows. Before you opened up the shop, you did a ton, especially at Kane County. Why did you choose to open a shop, and are there any benefits to owning a shop over doing shows?
Shop is always fun. If people have known me for the last, I got kind of out of hand and I was buying so much I didn't know what to do with. And then Eric and I were hemming and hawing about opening a shop, and we were going back and forth, and then we finally, unfortunately, opened the shop right before the week of COVID, and they shut us down. So it was kind of a bad thing, but I believe in God, and my mom is very religious, and I am too, and I really believe in God does everything for a reason, and I know it sounds bad to say. Yes, we were open and closed at the same time, but it gave me and Eric the opportunity to put the shop together, put the stuff on the shelf, organize stuff, go through parts and pieces. Like, I don't think if we were actually open, we would be able to have ever done anything like that.
Yeah, and having that lead time, I think, is also super important. And that is one of the weird things about COVID that a lot of people benefited from, is all of a sudden they had time that they never had before. So on the flip side of that, are there any benefits to only doing shows and not having a shop?
Well, doing the shows is a lot of work. I mean, you got to take everything off the racks and take all your Star Wars and all your G.I. Joe and all your He-Man and all your good stuff, and, you know, bring everything that you want to keep in the shop or you don't want in the shop and get rid of it at the show and bring it on or send it on its way to the next lovely home, you know. So, but having a shop is a lot of work. It's no joke. I mean, if people know me, I've been here for the last 3 months, kicking butt, taking names. Like, I've been organizing parts and pieces. I've been taking tons of bins that I've had for probably 10 years, been sitting like Joe, Star Wars, He-Man, Transformers. I mean, now I've been able, luckily, to start organizing the shop where it needs to be and be put in the special place it needs to be.
Well, great segue into my exact next question. Your shop is notoriously organized, something that is noticed by a lot of people who come in here, especially compared to some of the other shops in the area, where they're a wonderful organized chaos. But yours is very separate from that. Yours, you can tell where things are and where they belong. What's the thought process on that? Is that something to encourage people to find what they're looking for faster? Is it for your own sake of knowing what you have?
For us, Eric is very anal, and he wants this place with his family clean, organized, because when Mr. So-and-so comes to the shop and he needs that certain figure, well, there you go, sir. And everybody that comes to the shop knows my shop is your shop. So him or her, whatever, will come behind the cabinets or the countertop and find their item that they need, like their certain figure, He-Man, Transformers. It's all well organized where everything is. And for me, for us, our thing is have a nice, neat place that people will come.
Yeah. I mean, looking around and watching people today, that was a great experience. Seeing how people were interacting with your store and checking everything out. They could find things, and if you can find something, you're going to buy it.
Yes.
If you can't find it, you're not going to buy it. Mm-hmm. And there's not a whole lot here that isn't organized, and even the stuff that's not organized, you can easily get to. So I think that's a very important part overall, especially for collectors these days. There are still collectors who like spontaneously buying whatever they find interest in, and then there are some who are, I'm looking for He-Man, I need a He-Man, I need a Mechanic, he's got to have good armor, he's got to have a good weapon, that's where I got to go with this. So a few more questions that we'll kind of zip through.
Sure.
Have you ever purchased a toy for a child, especially a vintage toy for a child, because you thought it'd be fun based on your own experiences?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Do you do any toy modifications or customs, like painting, building, anything like that?
No, I don't. I'm not that creative.
Do you have one of those stories where your parents got rid of all your toys in one spot, came home, and gone?
I mean, this goes back to probably high school, but we had a garage sale, and my dad kept pounding me, bring up your toys that you don't want, and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, leave my toys alone. Just don't touch my stuff. There's a reason why they're in the basement, in the boxes. Just leave them alone, Dad. Please don't sell them. Well, what does my father do? He comes up to me. I get off of school at, say, 3 o'clock. I walk in. I say, oh, Dad, how's the garage sale? He goes, yeah, you believe this? I sold those He-Man figures you had for $1 a piece. I'm like, you did what? And luckily, he only sold like 3 or 4 of them, and then I had the Raider. I forgot the first name of it, but I had that, and he sold all my stuff. I was gonna cry. I'm like, no! Thank God he didn't touch my Star Wars toys. Then there would have been World War III for sure at the house.
Yeah, that's one of the crazy things with a lot of garage sales and friends I've talked to, because a lot of friends have moved on from toys. They appreciate what I have, and they say, oh, hey, I had that, but I've got a good friend of mine who gave away all of his Ghostbusters toys. He had a ton of them and just gave them away to the neighbor kids. And, that's great. I mean, maybe some of those kids couldn't have toys, and he's sharing that, the joy that they could have with it. Yeah, and the experience. But at the same rate, we can always get into the philosophy of they're just things. You don't need them. You can't take them with you. But also, things also represent comfort. They represent joy and happiness. And, you can still get that from them. So there's always that huge debate. And that's not actually part of this interview. That's part of our 3-part series we're going to be doing later on. And I don't know when. Anyways, moving on. So I think I know the answer to this one. Have you ever considered just being done with toys, stopping as a collector, just walking away from it, or selling everything and going away? This might be a loaded question, so if you don't want to answer it, I understand.
No, I mean, honestly, I love my toys, and I love the happiness it brings me. Sometimes it gets very overwhelming for me, but then, on the flip side, when I have a bad day, and I could sit there and I can look at these toys and bring experiences back in my head and memories that happened back, almost 40 years ago. I can't. I just love them. There's something, a passion I have about it, and most collectors can understand. I could never in a million years, stuff that's sentimental, like my parents gave me, I could never get rid of. That's something I'll always have.
Yeah, I have a Ninja Turtle figure buried. I know where it is. But it was something that obviously my mom had gotten for me. It had broken, and she kind of Frankenstein to try to repair it for me. So it's like half Raphael, half Leonardo. Yeah, she was just doing her best to try to bring it back. And, that's stuff like that you don't really ever get past. All right, so a couple more fun questions before we close out.
Sure.
What is something that doesn't have a toy, but you'd love to have in toy form? Could be anything in your life that you could have shrunk down. Could be a roller coaster, theme park ride. It could be Wrigley Field.
This part has been edited. Ha ha ha. You'll never know what was actually here.
All right, well, then let's flip it. What's a toy that you'd love to have scaled up and functional for real people? Anything. Realistically. So
realistically, a real life Darth Vader. He's my favorite.
Oh, just have,
he was him or Stormtrooper. Those were my two favorites.
See, I thought you'd probably go with a Terrordrome or...
Well, if they made a Terrordrome, I'd definitely buy it. I have to sell my kids.
Sweetie, I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to go visit the Terrordrome. You got to go hang out with those two twins, Tomax and Zaymod or whatever. Nobody liked talking to Zaymod anyways because I didn't know his name. All right, so this might also be an interesting question. This is where a lot of husbands, in fact, sort of stutter a little bit. How has your spouse dealt with your toy passions and collections?
Well, if people know me, I have a problem with toys. I love them. And last week I had almost 20 packages delivered to my house. And they were stacked, literally stacked, high, real high. I got home, and my wife is like, I'm disgusted. I am done with you. Look at this house. It's filled with boxes. I'm like, honey, I love you. So I bought her a pair of shoes, and then the other thing was okay. But, you know, it's fun. I love collecting. I love the hunt. It's like, you know, but she doesn't understand that, you know, because I stopped going to the bars. I stopped drinking and stuff like that for, like, now since my third kid has come. And it's just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind going to the bar once in a while. But, you know, I don't go out and party like I used to. The days are kind of pretty much over. Maybe once a year or twice a year with the guys, but now it's just like, you know, so this is I go, well, I'm not cheating on you and stuff like that and going partying and stuff. I love my toys. You see me on the kitchen table, disassembling everything, cleaning, fixing, doing everything for it, you know? And then when I kind of put her back to ease, then she's okay with it, you know?
Yeah.
She knows I have a passion for it. And hopefully in 5-6 years when I retire from my current job, then I'm definitely going to do this pretty much full time. I mean, I think if I could be here full time, I think I would really kill it. I think if I was here more, I'd do a lot better, you know.
Well, back to a more fun question. That's always a difficult one for a lot of people. So if you could create a toy line, a perfect toy line or a perfect toy based on anything you want. It could be something that exists that you want to update, and the toys could do anything you wanted. What would you want to create?
Millennium Falcon.
Like a big one, little one?
A huge one. Like a realistic.
Like how big are we talking about?
Life size.
Life size?
One of one.
One of one that you go play in as your own little clubhouse.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I had the backyard. Unfortunately, I live in the city, so in Chicago, our lots are small, but I would definitely build a Millennium Falcon like that guy. I think he was in England. He was a carpenter, and his kid loved Star Wars, and he built them and had that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that. A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like at Christmas, he built his son in it. I'm like, that's goals I have one day.
I mean, can you imagine having the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon as like a home theater for 4 people, you know, and they have their own little, whatever that little lounge space that they have in there. That's where you sit with your buddies, watch a football game, all that stuff. That would be really cool. So last 2 questions. What is one piece of advice you would give to the toy collecting fandom, of the collectors that are out there that you deal with on a daily basis? If you can give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
Go to somebody who you trust and like, and they take care of you. I think it's for my customers, but I don't consider people that walk into my shop customers friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the people that come in here, I treat them like my friends. You know what I mean? I mean, I always give them good deals, but you know, it's a passion that we all have as collectors, and if I can get back to one guy or girl or some kid and make their faces happy, then that means the world to me.
That's the one thing I noticed. Almost everybody I've dealt with in here, I struck up conversations with. One guy came in, we talked for about 20 minutes about everything from collecting to Disney World to spouses and what it's like being a collector with a spouse. There's some really great people out there, and when you make that connection, it's more than just a business.
Absolutely.
It becomes more of a community. And then when it comes to kids, you got 3 of your own. What's advice you'd give to kids who enjoy toys?
Play with them, beat them up, have fun with it. My soon-to-be 2-year-old, my middle daughter, she, like my son, he was into like Hot Wheels and stuff like that. But then when my middle daughter, Madison, she just loves the G.I. Joe toys. Oh my God. She brings out the tanks and the cars and the trucks and bangs them all over. And to see her play with my toys, it's kind of fun. It makes me happy because she's got the same passion I do. I mean, she calls them go-go's. But, you know, if you got little ones, they love that stuff. And I hope she takes after my bug. I don't think my wife will be too happy, but definitely she loves toys and trucks and stuff.
She starts bringing in the cash you bring on a regular basis. I think your wife's going to be just fine with that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if she's 7 years old and flipping G.I. Joes, You know, she's gonna be just fine. Yeah, and that's awesome because, like, I agree that when it comes to toys, kids should play with them and they should go nuts with them and take them out in the woods. And, I always give the advice just because, looking as a collector now, I just say, hey, put everything back in a Ziploc bag when you're done, though. Don't lose that mask.
That's how I was. I was horrible. I always, as soon as we had our battles and stuff in my bedroom or outside or at my buddy's house in their living room and stuff, I would always make sure that all my stuff came back to the right place I had in their carrying cases, especially my Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures.
Well, Michael, this has been fun. I really appreciate your time and, bringing me on board the Times Past Collectibles ship. I'm calling it the TPC. So I'm just going to refer to it in the future, the cool way of the TPC. Hopefully people know what I'm talking about when I say that. But this was a great opportunity. I look forward to continuing on, and then we'll see if we can bring you on for future episodes.
Absolutely,
talk about stuff.
Thank you very much for you and Mike having me in your show, and guys, come to the shop. I think if you're in the vintage toy lines, we got a pretty decent selection of stuff. So thank you very much for having me on your show, and good luck and God bless, guys, and thank you.
Yeah, check out Times Past Collectibles on Facebook. Give them a like. They do post pretty regularly on their hours, and if they have any specials, Michael here right across from me does do some live videos every so often talking about things that have come into the shop and what are some really exciting events that they got going on. We do have the Chicago Toy Show October 24th over in Kane County. Even if you are not a Chicago local or in Illinois, it is worth flying in for. It's at 525 South Randall Road in St. Charles. Check it out. It's, again, Chicago Toy Show, October 24th. Check that out. We will be there slinging toys. I'll be wearing my bright orange vest, being as obnoxious as I possibly can be. Thanks again, Michael, and we'll talk to you soon.
After listening to that through the editing, I realized that this is 2 months late, or 3 months late, or something, because Josh mentions the Chicago Toy Show, which was October 24th, so that's a little delayed. Well, at least this podcast was a little delayed. Life was going on with me, and sadly, it is not going so well right now. Karen, my lovely wife/ex-wife, I have to say that because of governmental reasons, it is what it is, but she passed away November 6th, 2021. So, yeah, I've been kind of running on autopilot, and I want to apologize to Michael at Times Past Collectibles. I want to apologize to Josh and everybody, but I just could not deal with certain things, and even though I've done podcasts in the last 2 months, I almost forgot about this one. I know we had it, I know I had to edit it, but everything has just been so crazy. So Toycast will continue in 2022. I don't know if myself and Josh and Das are going to do a Christmas episode or whatever we're going to do, if we do anything for Christmas, since Christmas is literally right around the corner. I hope everyone had as awesome as you can have 2021. I hope everyone who used to listen to the podcast or everyone who is now listening to the Toycast enjoyed our return this year. We do have plans to continue the show next year, so stay tuned and we will catch you next time here on Toycast.